Does your website need more traffic? Well, visit overflowcafe.com today. They make websites popular, and over 41,000 people use their service to gain more customers. They are winning at business. What about you? Visit overflowcafe.com today.
Hey guys, my name is Leia Rivera, new team player here at Rockefeller's Barbershop. I'm a barber hairstylist. I do braids, blowouts, and balayages, fades, tapers, and military cuts. You can reach me on my cell, 210-570-6126, or on social media at Leia_Princess Barber22. You are listening to I Am Refocused podcast on iHeartRadio.
You are listening to I Am Refocused podcast with your host, Shemaya Reed. This podcast is designed to inspire you to live your purpose and regain your focus. Now, let's tune into today's podcast.
This is I Am Refocused podcast, and today we have an awesome show lined up for y'all because you know what time it is. It's Thursdays. We are at Rockefeller's Barbershop. Shout out to Rico Rodriguez, the owner. And if you need a haircut, make sure you stop by his place. And before we get started, I want to give some big shout outs to our sponsors. Top of the list, Rockefeller's Barbershop. Miss Kim of River City Donuts, Baby McClinton of All Sports Speed and Conditioning. Visit his website, allsportsfitness.net. W. Brooks Funeral Home, and last but not least, overflowcafe.com. If your business needs traffic for the website, head over to overflowcafe.com. Today we have a guest. Her name, Dr. Melissa Weathersby, and she is a San Antonio native. She has a long resume, so let me try to get through this. She has experience in management, entrepreneurship, adult education, recipient of Who's Who in San Antonio Top 100 Women Honor, National Institute of Off-Staff and Organizational Development Excellence Award for Higher Education, international author and keynote speaker. She has graced the stage with Bishop T.D. Jakes of Megafest, TBN's Praise the Lord show, and she has passion in teaching, motivating, and inspiring people to become what God has intended them to be. And I'm not over. I'm just beginning. She has awesome experience as an instructor at San Antonio College, and her book that we're going to talk about a little bit later in the show is Are You Resting Your Blessing, or Are You Waiting on God? Is God Waiting on You? How you doing, Doctor?
I'm doing well this morning. Thank you for having me.
So I really had to just get into you and have you introduced because it's like, man, that's a long resume. So tell us from the beginning, who inspired you to be an entrepreneur?
I don't know if anybody specifically inspired me, but I think it was just kind of it was fluid. Mm-hmm. I was working at Nations Bank, mm-hmm. and the Nations Bank merged with Bank of America. Mm-hmm. Actually, I had worked at Nations Bank first, then went to Bank of America, then they decided to merge. And that at that time, I thought, I think I'm going to go out and do my own thing. I think I'm just going to venture out into the mortgage brokerage and real estate world, and it just kind of was a byproduct of not wanting to be part of the corporate leash. They have you on a leash or on a tie, so it just kind of organically happened.
And you teach real estate at San Antonio College.
Now I do, because I really didn't even think I was a teacher. Mm-hmm. When the market collapsed in 2006, it's like, what am I going to do? I don't know what I'm supposed to do. So that was kind of the next thing that I felt like I could do. I could at least pour into somebody what I had learned.
And when it comes to real estate and you writing books and you traveling and being a keynote speaker, when did that process officially start? Like, what was your first gig when you had the opportunity to go out and just teach people about life and business and entrepreneurship?
It really came when people started to ask for advice, like kind of what we're doing right now. Hey, how did that start? Or can you talk to us about how it felt to be 24 and be a branch manager at one of the largest banks in the world?
Yeah.
I really, I guess, to have conversations about just courage or what, I guess I've always been that kind of person I have a very high risk tolerance. And so taking risks or saying, hey, I can do that, let me try that, has always been part of my makeup. And so when people started to say, well, how did you do that? Or what did you have to do? I never really thought about the process. So it forced me to kind of have to think about, what did I do? And then I can get in front of people and talk about it. It was easy for me to get in front of groups of people that were looking for help. Women's conferences or business conferences, leadership stuff at the college as well. That's really kind of where I started to speak in front of groups. And then my faith has always played a very, big, important part of my life. I got saved when I was 18. I actually was raised Catholic, so I did not have full gospel stuff happening when I went to a full gospel church. My whole life just changed. And I've always heard from the Lord. I guess I didn't really even know what it was called. I always felt like I was being led. And so he challenged me to write the book that you have here. And that was my very first anything with writing. And it took me to TBN. Praise the Lord. It took me to TD Jakes Megafest, called me to come and speak about it. And so doors just open. And I always tell people that, the right doors won't open until you're ready. You've got to have the stuff. If you've got a book in you, you need to get it out of you because you don't know what that's going to open. A lot of us have a lot of things that we keep inside, but you've got to live out loud.
I like that.
Live out loud.
Tell us a little bit about the book. Are you resting your blessing, and are you waiting on God, or is God waiting on you? What was the theme of your book? What was the goal for the reader?
Well, I felt like there was a lot of people, a lot of believers, faith-based believers that were stuck in bondage, and I kept asking God, why is this so? If you came to give us life, or, you want us to have life and have it to the fullest and abundantly, why is that not happening? And so he gave me a few keys that he said, this is what my people are doing. They arrest their own blessings because I desire to bless them. But that's why the subtitle says, are you waiting on God, or is God waiting on you? Because he's waiting on us to be in the right position and to have the right, you got to be ready. You got to be equipped. And a lot of us want to skip steps in the process. We have to be fully processed before we can move on. And if there's holes in your foundation, so to speak, like in a house, it's going to crash. It's going to crumble. So you have to be ready.
I see where that real estate started to come in.
That's right.
And not to speak fast, but how did you even consider, I'm going to dabble into real estate? Like, what sparked that idea?
My pastor's brother actually did a little seminar after church one day, and I had taken it was an elective that I took in my undergraduate work at Southwest Texas State before it became Texas State. I'm dating myself here. But and I had taken real estate principles, but he said, this is a great career. I'd never even thought about being a realtor. I had no idea. But when the bank had started saying, hey, there's some rumors that we might be merging and everybody's not going to be able to stay, I thought I better figure out what Plan B looks like. So I went and got my license because I had enough coursework to satisfy half of it, and it just, like I said, it was just kind of a byproduct of trying to make sure I had work. But I really like service industry type jobs. I like helping people, and so it was just fun to help people find a home. It was really good to help with the mortgage side of it because I understood finance. And for those of you that have math phobia, I hated math. Math hated me. I didn't hate math, right? I didn't hate math. It hated me. I never could figure out how X equals a number. Like, how's a letter equal a number? Like, what's that? So when I became a banker, then it made sense. And I always tell people, if it don't make dollars, it don't make sense, right? So that's the business mantra I make sure my students know about. But so organically from that, I started seeing people that could not qualify for mortgages, and so now I'm teaching people financial literacy, and that is what the topic of my dissertation was that I just finished. The need for financial literacy, to learn how that life skill will affect you, of how you handle money or don't handle it.
Yeah, as an entrepreneur, there's going to be a lot of small business people listening to this podcast. How crucial is it for them to understand finance? Because a lot of times it's like, man, let me just get this money. But,
yes.
What's some of the things that you can teach us as far as healthy practice for that?
Well, your money has an assignment, okay? And if you can look at it like that, does your money have a mission? Because if it doesn't have a place to go, you're going to waste it, right? And money comes to those who know what they're doing with it. I always say that. Like, some people say, I never can hold $1. Well, it's because you keep releasing it. and it doesn't have anywhere to go. So it'll hit your hands and then it goes somewhere else. So we have to really understand what is money, you know, and again, it's just nothing more than a means of exchange. Some of us think of it as powerful, it's this, no, it's just what it is, right? And when you get the proper perspective of it and know where it's supposed to go, then you can do great things with it. Now, you can also injure people with it too. I mean, you could do bad things with it. I always say money is an amplifier. It makes something more of what it is. So if you're a very kind person and you have a lot of money, it's going to make you really kind and really generous. If you're stingy and hateful and and you're going to be even worse. You'll be a miser, you know. So understanding that piece of it, first of all, what is neutral really is it doesn't have power, it doesn't have anything other than what you give to it. But also having goals. I don't think a lot of us have goals for what we're doing. We just get it and it goes. Like you said, I'm just going to get this money. Well, then what? Then what happens from that? You know, what are you doing with it? How's it working for you? Is it working against you? Because some people get so consumed with money, they don't do anything else. So it's important to understand that piece of it. But again, to have fiscal goals. You know, do you have savings goals? Do you have a wealth plan? Are you going to leave anything for, you know, the people coming behind you? You can't take it with you.
And with your experience in the banking and also real estate, what's some of the stories or just some of the habits you witness people coming to you with as far as mismanaging their money?
The main thing that I saw in the very beginning was that people that wanted a house but couldn't afford it, they were going to get these loans that were letting them get in, but they couldn't keep it. So what's the point of going through a foreclosure or losing something that you worked very hard for if you're not going to be able to hold on to it? So again, I say get ready and be ready, and don't let just, I want that, I want the newest whatever, I need to keep up with the Joneses, I need to be able to, you know, compete with somebody. Don't do it that way. If you want to leave a legacy, if you want, you know, to start building your real estate portfolio so your children can have that, or your church, or your charities, or whatever that is, or you can allow your real estate to make money for you. You can actually have legitimate cash flow income from, you know, income producing properties. And I don't see a lot of people looking at it that way. They just want to live somewhere. Well, you can rent somewhere and do that. But then you could rent for too long and then have no assets to give to anybody once you're gone. And you're really paying your landlord you're making him wealthy instead of yourself. So again, I think there's a place and a time to rent. I think if you're in transition, that's fine. Maintenance, you have to think about maintenance. Some people don't even think about that. They just think about that payment. Well, there's other things that come with owning property than just, you know, your mortgage payment. There's taxes, insurance, upkeep, yard work, all of that. And there's maintenance that comes. You have to paint it. You're going to have to update it. So people don't really think about that. They just want to get in. But they don't think about what happens if you get sick. What happens if you want to have another child? Life happens, right? So not thinking of, you know, about next year, or people just have a very small focus. And I see that is another issue, that there's no goal or plan. Like, what happens in 5 years? What happens in 10? And you can keep trading up or expanding or however, but a lot of people don't have those goals. They don't think about tomorrow.
And say person 9 to 5 or a brand new entrepreneur, what's some of the steps they can take to start growing their money and saving the money at the same time?
Well, we definitely know that, you know, a bank account, you're not making any money on your money anymore. You know, you might be making 0.5% on your money. So an excellent vehicle would be real estate, to be able to put money into an asset that you're going to have appreciation and grow your equity there, and be able to build upon that and use that equity that you're building to go do other stuff with it. That's very important to know. Also, if you are a business, you need to look like a business and act like a business. You know, you can still be at a 9 to 5 but still have Shemaiah Inc., right? Because you are your business, you are your brand. Be thinking about that. Be thinking about the way people see you too. Do you carry yourself as a business? Do you have a business website? Do you have a business phone number? Or are you just trying to hustle and you've got, you know, 14 different things coming in on your cell phone and nobody knows who or what you do? You have to really start to, that becomes your identity, or you need to be identified as, this is what this person can help me with or do. and to start walking that out. Make sure you have your business bank account. Don't commingle funds. And do you have business goals along with your personal goals? You know, you can do both at the same time, but make sure you separate them so that when tax time comes, and then you have a tax account, you know, a savings account just for your taxes. A lot of people get messed up with that too, and it's easy because if you're not paying attention, it's work. People don't. It looks glamorous, but they don't understand how it is constant. It's its own little person that you're trying to grow and raise and build, and then you can start again to invest more back into that. A lot of people don't realize your first 3 to 5 years, you're probably reinvesting all your profits back into the business to keep it growing. But I think people don't plan well. They don't have a large enough strategic management vision. They only see like next week, or they only see the 15th and the 30th. Like, when am I going to get that money? When's that money coming? Right? Exactly. Exactly. So they're again, their focus. That's why I like the name of your show, Refocus. Yeah, you got to. And sometimes you have to keep refocusing, recalibrating. Sometimes you have to reset. Sometimes you have to flush and move. Yeah, it doesn't work. Morning. Right, that's right. And if something's not working, have the maturity to say, this isn't working. This is not for me. I don't like this, or it's just not working. Let it go. Because a lot of people can't let go, and they take their whole family down with them. That's not good.
And as a young entrepreneur myself,
like me, right? I'm still 29 and holding.
All of us, everyone here,
holding.
Because if you think about it, just from my own experience, you find yourself, if you're not, like you're saying, readjusting yourself and refocusing and being true to yourself, so that you can grow and not stunt your growth. What happens is when you get carried away with, let's just get the dollars, you're not actually growing.
I did that.
You're not maturing.
I did that.
And that's something that I personally have realized, because you're so caught up into the vision, but you're not actually leveling up to that vision. You're kind of staying flatline where it's safe, same habits. It's not bad, but it's not really great, because if you're trying to be like the next Starbucks or Amazon or Dropbox, you gotta get to that level. You got to
level up. And here's the thing, Shemaya, I like that you said that. I had the cars. I mean, when I look back, I'm like, I cringe. I'm like, I can't believe I behaved like that. Because it's really an illusion. And you're fooling yourself. And I would say the enemy works in deception. Because if I can just waste enough of your life minutes, you can't get it back. So if I can just get you to coast long enough to where you don't even see that you're off, I got you. You don't necessarily have to be doing anything bad, but if you're, again, if your money's not going where it's supposed to be, or your voice, your message needs to go where it's supposed to go. And if it doesn't, then it's all for nothing. But when you understand that you have to be around the right people, again, are you hanging out with the CEOs that are at the Amazon level? Or because if you're the smartest person in your circle, you're in the wrong circle. You always need to be learning. You need to keep leveling up, like you said, and that's a hard thing too for people to understand, that just because I let go of you doesn't mean I don't like you. It's just because I can't grow with you. If I can't grow with you, I can't go with you.
And a lot of times, also, just to play with the title of your book, are you arresting your blessing?
Are you arresting it? Nobody else's is you.
Are you trying to arrest somebody else's, or are you trying to arrest yours? Because you almost have to ask yourself two questions. Where's your money tied up in, and where is your time tied up in?
Because time is your most valuable commodity. People don't realize that. That's why I say, if you're going to look for a job or a career, you don't want to trade your time for dollars, because there's really no amount of money that you can put on your time, because once it's spent, it's it.
There's no refund.
That's right. It's extremely powerful when you think about how you can't redeem time once you've spent it. So spend it well, spend it wisely, spend it where it's going to give you the best return for what you're doing. A lot of people waste time in an office sitting in front of their computer. They're on Facebook all day. Hey y'all, I'm not saying anything bad about y'all. I'm just saying that if it's not, pulling in who and what, I mean, there's a time and a place for everything.
It's a good investment.
Right. Ecclesiastes said there's a time under the heavens for everything. So there's a time to play, a time to work, time to reap, time to sow. There's all these things that there's a time for, but a lot of us we don't recognize the season that we're in. Some of us have taken too long to do some stuff, or we're afraid, or we're not, again, in the right circles, and we're not even paying attention to where are you in this time of your life? What are you trying to do? Has the time passed? Some of you guys need to let it go. You're 45, you're not going to make it to the NFL. And as much as I love you guys, it's the truth. And the truth is going to make us all free, right? So you need to understand there's a time that give it up, because maybe that's not where you're supposed to go. Or reinventing yourself over and over. But I think being in the wrong circles, or being around passive people that aren't really, they don't have the same goals as you, and that's okay. But that just means you've got to get where you got to go so that you can continue to grow, because growth is a continuum. And especially with technology the way that it is now, if you don't stay up on what's going on with technology, you're going to be left behind. It's very difficult to do great things, or to be able to be international or global without it. You've got to really have your technology pieces in place, or to be able to connect to somebody who can help you do it. Because a lot of us also are so proud that we want to do everything, and you cannot. You can't do it. You need to outsource. You need to invest. A lot of people say, I don't want to spend that. Well, I don't look at things as an expense anymore. It's an investment. Is this a good investment or a bad? What's the return going to be on what I'm investing? The time, the money, etc. It's not, everything's not an expense. I think if your perspective changes on how you, quote, spend, I don't call myself a spender. I call myself an investor.
Because a lot of times it may cost you a lot more if you don't invest now.
Absolutely.
10 years from now, if you're not making those tough decisions to delegate your work to someone who can run social media, someone who can make a phone call. If you're doing it, well, it's almost like me trying to play on the Warriors. It's just not going to happen.
And when it does, though, let me know. If it does, I'll be right there with you.
I highly doubt that. I might get an interview, but that's about it.
Or maybe you'll be behind the camera or on the mic.
Exactly.
You never know how it's going to come.
Exactly.
It's just not how we think sometimes. It's like you have no idea what that you might be with the Warriors at some point, which would be awesome. Just not on the court.
Because speaking of one of the words you said about connection, how you build relationships along the way, your entrepreneurship journey is very important. What are some of the things that you discovered along your journey building relationships with different people and businesses?
I think for myself, and this is something I'm very introspective. I like to reflect on, where am I at? I've always been that way. I think it's just natural to go back at the end of the week and say what worked, what didn't work, especially in management, because that's been my whole career. I've been a career manager, and which eventually morphed into leadership. Now, don't get me wrong, not every leader is a manager, not every manager is a leader. It's totally different thing. Leaders have followers, managers have employees, okay? A lot different. But being connected to the right people, or again, if you have a vision, you need to look at that vision and say, who do I need to connect to get to where I'm trying to be? I'm not going to connect to a dentist if I'm trying to be an engineer, per se. So I need to be in the right circles of people that can help me get to where I'm trying to be, but also make an effort to connect. You can't sit behind your computer all day or say, I don't like that, I don't do that, I'm not a big talker, whatever. Okay, there's still so many other groups you can connect to engage yourself, to go to conferences, to go to mixers. There's so much free stuff that's happening in our city, around the world, really. I mean, LinkedIn has some wonderful professional groups. Facebook does as well. And some people get so into the social scene that they forget why they're there. If you have a business, have a business. You can have social time, but it shouldn't totally take over. And then on the other flip side of that, as a business person, don't be so business oriented that you have no social connection to people. I think some people get just way too caught up in not being real. And people can sniff that out. But networking is very important, but it starts with, you got to know why you're networking before you can go to the who. Your why is always going to be the thing that's generating the most action from you, or it should be. You should always know your why. And if you don't know your purpose or you don't know your why, you need to find a coach or somebody that can coach you through, or a mentor that can really kind of, you got to get really laser focused on what you're trying to do. Focus is a huge thing.
I always like thinking like this way. You have so much background noise sometimes. You got to figure a way, like we're in the shop, if we had the mics positioned the wrong way, our voice won't be picked up by the mic. Well, same thing with us operating our business. If we're not positioning ourselves in the right way, people won't really get the message.
That's right. And there's so much noise, and there's so much static out here, especially now with the internet. I mean, you can pretty much find anything that you want, but again, how is your voice going to be heard? Or again, what is your message going to be received by the audience that you want it to be received by, instead of something different?
I like to think it like this also. I think a lot. It's a lot of shallow business. In other words, you have your logo, you have your website, but you don't really have, like you said, the mission statement. And if you don't have that, then there's really no way anybody can be connected to your business, because they, in their eyes, just see a logo.
Yeah.
How does a new entrepreneur out there define, maybe not define, but have the ability to recognize finding their mission? What's some of the steps they can do to break it down?
Well, my tagline is strategy comes from clarity. You can't have strategy if you don't have a very clear focus on what it is you're trying to do. And without that mission statement, you have a mission and you can have a vision statement, which of course is your overarching, but the mission is, why are you doing what you're doing? Why? Why is that important? And I think you got to, it's not something that we can just sit down in 15 minutes and decide this is how this is going to be. It really comes down to fully understanding why you're doing what you're doing, and then how are you going to get to that. And that's how you're going to find your action plan, is with the how. I need to, again, like you said, the logo. What does the logo mean? Does it stand out? Does it really represent what you're trying to say? And have you piloted that to see, hey, if I show you this, what does that mean to you? Because people might think, oh, I thought this was this, and it's not. Or what audience is it? Is it appealing to feminine or masculine, or is it gender neutral? There's so much that comes from colors and shapes, and again, there's kind of a science behind marketing and getting the right person to understand what you're trying to do, so that they can actually portray that in a graphic. But a lot of people don't understand the ins and outs. Like you said, they just go get a logo and they think they're in business. No, there's more to it. But does your logo even represent your mission, or who or what you're about? It's a lot deeper. Like you said, there's a lot of shallowness that we're seeing, and that's why there's no longevity. Even
with marketing, a lot of times, like in the music industry, a lot of times it's like, if I can just get more traffic here. But you got to keep in mind what traffic is going to do for your content.
Right.
Because if your content is not up to par to what you want to expose, once they get there, it's almost like coming to an empty room. Like it's a party that's about to go off at 7 o'clock on Saturday night. But when they get there, it's like there's nothing there.
Right.
There's no setup, there's no lights, there's no drinks, there's no food. And a lot of times we have the right attitude of action, but we're not actually set up for them to have something once they get there.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of in real estate as well. Who's your target audience? I think that's a big thing in marketing, to know who are you targeting. You can't just say, kind of like with that.
I hope it's you and you.
Hey y'all, right? Kind of like with the book, being an author.
Yeah.
Because I also I teach people how to write, but I always say you're writing that with your audience in mind, and you can't say, well, this is going to help everybody. Okay, well, yes, everybody might need help, but what age group are you speaking to? Because if I'm talking to adults, this is not a teenage book. It's too over their head. They will never receive what I'm trying to say. And again, in real estate, it's nice to have a house, but can you afford, I've got a certain price range.
What level?
Right, what level? What kind of income do you make? Are you staying or if you're somebody that's moving every 2 years, maybe buying a house isn't the best thing for you to do. Now you can purchase investments, but I'm saying that you have to know who your actual audience is before you can actually speak to them or reach them. Because again, you might have a room full of people that nobody cares about who you are when you walk in the room. Versus if you have the right audience, everybody's going to be, oh my gosh, this helped me, or this, especially when you're talking with music, there are certain things that I know my mom would be like, what is this? And then things from her era that I'm like, oh no, I cannot even handle, the tap dance or whatever was going on back in the day. But I'm saying, so you got to know who that audience is and be able to drill it down to where there's an age group, there's what are their beliefs about certain things. Really, here's the thing, in a nutshell, y'all, this is the $1 million advice that you're getting for free today. You are the solution to somebody's problem. That's what you are in business. So if you can identify what problems people have and you are their solution, when you begin to speak to that solution, you're going to pick, their ears are going to hear you. I don't care what room you're in, or if they can relate to what you're saying because you have overcome something and you have been able to figure out the process of coming out. You got it. That's it.
I like to.
That's it. You are the solution.
Dig deeper into that, because that's pretty good what you are saying. Because also it's you knowing you before you even help somebody else.
That's right.
And if you can't really understand and kind of see your life's journey, then there's no way you can relate to anybody really.
Or if you can't be transparent about your life. See, if I can sit here and put on my makeup and you guys don't know where I've been or what I've been through, my credibility is just kind of like, a lot of the stuff we see on Instagram. It's all filters. It's all, angles and lights, and a lot of what we see is illusion anyway with people. People are one big illusion.
First, man.
Or kind of like when you're dating somebody, it's like, oh, I didn't know this was really what I was doing. After a while, when people get comfortable, it's like,
they show up too early and don't have the filters. So like,
that's right. Or they don't have a filter of their life, or they've got these walls up, and when they come down, it's like, I didn't know you were in there. But sometimes business will do that to people too, because people get into business thinking it's just for the business, right? And so they realize, no, there's a greater purpose to what I'm doing. And that's why sometimes people can do things pro bono. It's not all about the money. It's about really helping. Like you see some attorneys do that. Yeah. They will take certain cases because it means something to them. They want to help people. But a lot of us need, like you said, the self-help, and to be very introspective and understand where are we coming from. Because some people... and I've seen this just in different industries, not necessarily just teaching or whatever. They'll get into a situation and feel like, well, now it's my turn to show you that I can control this, or this. And you'll see some business people act like that too. Well, I went into business because I'm not going to have somebody do this or this. And so there's a negative slant on their why. So your why statement is very important to understand why you're doing what you're doing. And then, again, the what, or how are you going to do this now. But you are somebody's solution.
And two, going back to what we was talking about earlier, building relationships. Until you can really be cool with yourself. I hate to say it that way, but if you can be cool with yourself, you can't really be cool with nobody else. Because I've been reading some books recently, and the whole thing of just one little thing, I just want to see you smile. You never know, that just sparks something in them. Or just how you carry yourself in general. When people see you in action, but they're not like the TMZ, they're not going to write an article on you and put you on. They might, but that's why you got to be careful, knowing that anybody can be watching you, because you can have people's interests that you never knew you had influence over. Touch on that as far as being the new entrepreneurship, because you were talking about earlier how you carry yourself and represent your brand. What's some of the tips you have for new entrepreneurs, how they ought to carry themselves when they're taking their business serious?
Well, I think first things first, like you said, a smile your positivity, people need that. People need to know that you are, they need to know you're real too, because people can tell if you're fake. If you have a fake smile, that's not going to work. But being able to be positive in all things, or seeing, again, as a glass half empty or half full. Because some of those books, like what you're talking about, you're reading, talk about that. You know, are you negative all the time? And I always tell people, are you focused on your problems? Or are you focused on a solution to the problem? Because that will change also your emotions. But to learn how to manage your emotions, to not be depressed all the time. Because really, and I have to be careful of how I say this, a lot of times we are angry or depressed because all we're doing is focusing on ourselves. Everything is us. We don't focus on anything else but what we didn't get, what we want, and what somebody else has, and we start to really, it can overtake you. When you can start looking to say, you know what, let me go help somebody. I'm not doing too hot today, but let me go, and maybe I can go to the homeless shelter and feed some, get in the soup line and help feed somebody. That way I can see I'm doing something, or somebody, because there's always somebody out there that's got it worse than you. But if all you're focusing on is you and what you don't have, it kind of amplifies. What you focus on is what you're pretty much going to get all the time. Mm-hmm. So you have to shift how you see stuff. For me also, show up dress the way you want to be addressed. If you come with your clothes hanging off, or they're dirty, that they're, and I've seen people that just don't realize, okay, you had lunch and you have lunch all over your shirt. You need to change your shirt. Comb your hair, please. I know it could be windy outside or something, but just how your maintenance, how you appear. And you don't have to have expensive name brand label stuff. You just be clean and neat in how you appear. Can you please tuck your shirt in? Can you please wear a belt? Can you please not be sagging? Can you please not, walk around with, I know some of the styles are supposed to be in fashion, but it's like how people relate to that. They look at you and they automatically, I hate to say it, they just immediately will judge. They will look at you and say, are you serious about it or not? One thing you didn't bring up, Shemaya, was my hobby is horseback riding.
Oh, yeah.
And so I've been an equestrian for many years, and even in the horse business, the top breeders and the top people that make money, they might have on jeans and boots and a shirt, but it's tucked in. They got a collar, okay? They've got their hat with their logo. They're not playing. Yeah. And they're making money. They're not playing around. So you don't have to be dusty, crusty to, to just, this is what I do. You don't have to be like that. I think people clean under your nails, okay? When people shake your hand, they don't want to see that. I'm just saying. Yes. Yeah. Miss Debbie's over here. She gets what I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah.
At least be, you don't have to, it doesn't have to be expensive to be clean. That's all I'm saying. Wash your face, when you're going to really even
it's
take
hot,
on the appearance of...
I'm going to just say that. It's hot.
It is hot. But you can just, like you said, don't show up sweaty or just... And I know, again, you can't be 100% all the time, but try, But I think your attitude, your demeanor, look people in the eye when you talk to them. Don't look at your feet or look at their feet or look anywhere else on them. Okay, I'm going to leave it there. Be professional. You don't have to be like we see out what I say in the world. The one thing you brought up too was, when I first got really into ministry, I've been on some very big platforms, and it made me feel a certain kind of way, because I never thought I'd ever see my face on any kind of ad with Bishop T.D. Jakes. I mean, that just still blows me away. Yeah. But to know how people see me because of that, it's like, okay, you need to just, I can't be anybody that I'm not, but it still made me level up. Because I realize that people now have an expectation of the things that I'm saying and the things that I'm teaching. I better be walking that, Yeah. And fortunately, I was somebody who walked for many years before I became ordained or came out into this other ministry side, is what I call it. Because I still do more ministry and industry. I like to say there's a lot more that I can do for people in their businesses, people in the classroom, that I have been at the church level. But to know that people are watching and they're expecting a certain person, if you outside these mics and these headsets, if you followed me for the day or came to my house, I'm still Melissa. I'm not putting you on or being one way over here and one way. And I think people flip flop because they're trying to be who somebody else wants them to be. Because my next book, by the way, I've got a couple more books coming out this year, is about identity and knowing who you are. You know, if you're a counterfeit, God's not going to bless your counterfeit. He's going to bless you. So you have to get real with you, and even the things you don't like about you, sometimes it's just what it is. You need to accept yourself and stop trying to compare yourself to everyone else or become somebody that you think you need to be, when in fact you need to be who you are. And it has nothing to do with what you do or what you have.
That's real true.
And a lot of people, you know, when you ask them, who are you, they start telling you their title right away is what I do. Or they feel like their worth is in their bank account. So what happens when you go bankrupt? What happens if you lose your business? What happens if your credit goes to 300 whatever? I mean, some people are so, they brag, oh, I have a 700 score, 800. Okay, but who are you? I don't really care about how well your financial report card is telling me. That's not who you are. Because with or without money, you should still be who you are. I should know who you are instead of who you're married to, what rank you have. Because, you know, the military, we're here in the military city. That's real big, too. That's nice that you're accomplished, but that doesn't mean that that's who you are. You've learned how to work a system. You've learned how to, even with education, I'm, of course, I'm an educator. I believe in education, but I'm saying that doesn't make you so much better. It makes you more academically wiser. Really, wisdom is different too than knowledge, right?
Yeah.
Let's go there. I have to go there with y'all. You can be wise without formal education. There's things that life will teach you that a book cannot teach you. But just because I have a certain degree doesn't mean I'm better than you. It might mean I outstudied you. Or I might, outlasted. Because some people just don't sit in school all these years. It's not going to work for everybody, and I understand that. So I don't think I'm better than anybody, but I'm saying that I'm certainly more aware of certain subject matter, etc. But I don't get into, oh, you're better than me, or I'm less than you because I don't have something. And so many people are focused on that, or so many people are focused on what mama wanted them to be. And they didn't meet mama's expectation, or a teacher or somebody, and they have just killed themselves, over the years of what they weren't. And I'm like, but you're who God says you are. Who does He say you are? Why are you here? What's your purpose? And once you can plug into that, I think that life just lights up. So that's what I hope the next book will do for somebody, to just inspire them to look for the God in everything that they do, because He's everywhere. And if you're alive, if you're breathing, you have purpose. You have purpose. For every day you wake up, it means, oh, I didn't finish it yet. I didn't finish it yet.
And that really ties into your book, Are You Resting Your Blessing? Because at the same time, like you're saying, we pretty much go through the motions trying to get the material things.
Yes.
Versus things that actually make an impact and change lives.
Yes, forever.
If it's building your craft, your talent, your gift, it's one thing to want to do well. But like you said earlier, knowing your why. Because we live in a world of technology where you can buy the views on YouTube.
Image, that's right.
Yeah, you can buy the image.
That's right.
You can buy the clothes that make you look rich. You can buy the likes, the retweets, everything you can buy now to look something that you're actually not.
But look at Kate Spade.
Yeah.
Look at Andrew Bourdain. I mean, when I think about these people that were at the pinnacle of their career and were miserable, that can happen. That's real. That's not just for that level either. That's for all of us to say, you could be going down a path that looks, everybody thinks you got it all.
Right.
You got the high rise in Manhattan. You got, you're in the 2 comma club. That's what I call it. Or the 3 comma club. We're all trying to get to the 2, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you're not 7 figures, 8 figures, but they had that, and
still empty.
It's still empty. So we have to know that that's to me again. That's not the why. Now some people like that. They just want the attention, and they're a flash in the pan. And
it is nice. I'm not going to hate.
I would say it's nice too. I'm not saying anything against it. But when you know how to use that at the end of the day too. Your influence means something.
It makes you think like little kids when they beg for this toy and they finally get that toy. But like everything else, that toy starts to deteriorate, starts to break, and before you know it, that toy that they were begging for the parent to get them, they start to neglect it, and they want the next new thing. And I think that happens a lot with new entrepreneurs. They see something that's hot and they want to do it the way some legend did it, versus studying that legend and see how they develop themselves. And like you were saying earlier, knowing their identity, because that's the key of why there's an Oprah and, you know, there's a Tom Brady and there's a LeBron James and Steph Curry. You know, it's knowing who they are.
That's right.
Which allows them to be that person.
And sometimes you just, like I said, fall into something that you didn't even intend to do. I mean, that just was never, you never saw that coming. It's like, oh, wow. But you just hooked up with it and went on with it. But the hours of preparation, I don't think people see behind the scenes. How long it took you to even set up this set for us to be able to broadcast this. What went on in order for you to get set up to have the distribution that you do. That's hours and hours of research, hours and hours of the right equipment, hours of finding the right. I mean, it's people don't. Those that are not really in it, that, you know, those that are just there for the moment. That this is so time intensive. It takes years, you know, to become an overnight success.
Commitment. Because all you see on ESPN top 10 plays is highlights.
Yeah.
But you don't see the Steph Curry, Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan, countless hours in the gym. It's
the gym, it's the film, it's the diet, it's sleeping, you know, all these parties and all. Yeah. No, they get their rest. Their body has to be right. You know, I remember Terrell Owen had something one time when they were just showing his day. It's like, good Lord, you know, and making sure that, you know, every part of their life has to do with their purpose, though. And I don't think people that, you know, they see the fame that the people have, but they don't realize, no, there's their lifestyle is not what we think it is. Like you said, just the highlight reel where they're out there, you don't see how much. I'd like
to see those bills.
Right. Well, I think Bebe would know, right? The Baby, we can talk to him about how he conditions those guys. It's like, good Lord. But you don't realize what you got to go through to get to. It's a process. And a lot of people like to skip steps in the process. I was teaching, and it seems like the last year and a half have been really big on this transformation message that I believe has helped a lot of people. When I say that, you know, we see a beautiful butterfly, but we didn't know what it was before it got to that. And when you see a worm, you know, bless his heart, when the worm goes into this cocoon, I keep thinking, you know, all of a sudden life is one way and then they're in the dark, right? And then they liquefy, and then they've got to go through this process of metamorphosis before they can come out. But I always tell people, you know, that cocoon, if you open it or touch it, you'll kill what's in it. So a lot of people are walking around in a cocoon, or they're living in this dark place right now that nobody can touch you but God. Because only God really, quite frankly, knows what's going on behind that cocoon. Like the scientists are telling us, but I'm thinking, y'all really probably don't know everything that's going on.
They got the highlights.
There you go. Right, they got the highlights. I love that. Yeah. So the poor worm is like, what is just happening to me? So some of us are now, what is happening to me? It's dark. My friends can't help me. Mama, you know, the church, nobody can help me, because God is taking you through a process. And if somebody interrupts that process, it can literally kill you from your purpose, right? And then when you come out as this butterfly, you can't touch a butterfly when it's wet. You ruin it. It's got to learn how to pump, because it's pumping its wings to get the fluid up out of its body into its wings to be able to do what it's doing. So it's still got to do the work. See, some of y'all want somebody else to do it for you or to tell you what to do or how, but some of this, it's innate, it's in you. But some of you that have been through this process and you are now a butterfly, you don't know what to do because you still have worm thoughts. You don't know how to work what you got, and you got what you need. Yeah, and you look good, and it's all there.
It's like but nobody's water right there.
That's right.
You won't grab it,
and you won't. Right. Yeah. That's right. It's amazing to see people that have been processed and they don't even realize you went through all that hell to get where you are. You got what you need. You know how to fight. You know,
tank is full.
That's right. And you don't know what to do. They won't drive. They want either somebody else to drive it, or they don't like what they got to drive.
Or it's the opposite. Right? They won't fill up.
That's true.
Because it's a sweet balance in entrepreneurship. It's a roller coaster.
If you're not around other people like you, they'll swear you're crazy. So the corporate world is like, you are crazy to leave a job that's stable. It's like, Come on, do you know how much you can make out here doing this? They don't understand that, or a government job. All those are different things, but I believe entrepreneurs are very different animals. I mean, we're just made different. We can handle it. We can take the risks. We can juggle a lot of different things. We just see things different.
It's like a hamster on a wheel. I was talking to a coworker about this. It's like you on a hamster wheel and you just keep going. You think you're working so hard.
You're going nowhere.
But you're really not going nowhere. But if you're actually off the wheel and you actually start moving forward, then you actually will gain territory.
Absolutely.
And what would you say to maybe an entrepreneur who's been doing this for a while, but they had this very limited mindset as far as, I'm going to just stay on level 1 because it's easier, versus they could be on level 20. What's some of the things that they can stop doing so that they can actually grow?
I think a lot of people, because they get into this little bubble, like you said, they have a tendency to just do the status quo. And I would say, again, go back to revisit your why. Why are you doing what you're doing? Go to a mastermind group. Go get involved with other entrepreneurs that are not necessarily your competitors, but they can show you how they've done different things to just kind of freshen up some of the things that you might have been doing that are maybe 5 years old, 6 years old, that you are still doing and don't realize you could be doing it better. And efficiencies, cutting off things that don't work, being more productive with what you've got. A lot of people don't realize that you can use different technology to help you do things better or quicker or more efficient, so that you're not so tired all the time. There's a lot of people that are, oh my gosh, I just don't have enough time. Well, you probably don't have the right tools in place, especially if you do have a model that is working. Even if it's not working optimally, you can still do it better with the right tools, instead of trying to again, use a horse and plow to till the land, when you go over to Home Depot and get you something electronic, and you're done in 3 hours versus 3 weeks. I think a lot of people using some just archaic things that they could be doing other things better. Again, you could really make your website work for you. You can get an answering service who can answer your calls for you, or route your calls to you, or route them to a voicemail. You could be using your Outlook or your other email applications to help you sort through your mail quicker. You don't have to be, on the email all day, every day. Tim Ferriss had a really good book, The 4-Hour Work Week, for those of you who haven't read that. And he really addresses efficiency. So Tim Ferriss, The 4-Hour Work Week, that stayed on the #1 Times bestseller list for a very long time. Really talked about outsourcing, maybe getting a virtual assistant. There's things that you don't have to do every single day.
And a lot of times, entrepreneurs, they hear what you're saying just now, and they look and they're still overwhelmed, because they're like, well, shoot, it's going to cost this and it's going to cost that. And by the time I do this, my bank account's going to look like thin ice. And they have that fear of what if it fails. And what happens is they keep saying that for 10 years and they wonder why they never grow.
I've also said too that, failure is not really, you win or you learn. You don't really fail. And I don't think you should, if something is not working, don't let it go for like 6 months. You can know in the first 6 weeks, oh, this isn't working, let me recover, let me readjust and get back where I was. But if you don't ever try it, then you won't ever know. And sometimes that's where, again, I suggest people, everybody should have a coach, a business coach. Get a mentor. And some people say, I can't afford that. Well, you can't afford not to if you're trying to level up. You're just going to have to invest in somebody that you can trust, that's going to take you up higher and challenge you, kind of like any coach, a conditioning coach. They're going to stress your body.
Tell you the truth.
You're going to probably feel like you're going to die, right? Yeah. Exactly. They're going to tell you what you need to hear. Not necessarily what you want to hear, but that's going to help you to also see. Sometimes we are just limited in what our capacity to see is. Some people can see past you, or they can see the greatness in you that you can't even see, and they can unlock that and call that out. But until you get with somebody who you can connect to, that you trust, and a lot of people, unfortunately, that to me sounds like somebody who just doesn't trust anyone, and that's why you're going to stay at a certain level. You're never going to level up, because you have to trust yourself enough to know, oh man, I made a bad decision, it's not the end of the world. Then you learn. That's how you learn. You learn what doesn't work as well as what does, and you don't let what didn't work eat you up. It's just what happened, right? It was just an event. Failure is an event. It's not your whole life. It's an event.
Yeah, failures have some highlights too. And,
and maybe they need to go look at somebody's highlight reel, right? Yeah. And say, let me look what they did so I don't redo that. And that's, again, you need to read. You know, people aren't leaders aren't readers. You need to read about what other people have done so that you don't do it as well. That's what our testimonies are. That's why I like to tell people, write a book, write about it. Because that can help somebody else not do what you did.
Power of influence starts with experience.
Absolutely.
I heard someone say experience is just some of the things that you wish never happened to you.
And I'd have to say amen.
Yeah. But that's life.
Some of us have hard heads too, that we just don't want to listen. So yeah.
But that's life, because I like how you said not using the right tools, because we could be using the microphone from our MacBook and that's not going to be good. But over time, you learn the process of your field and what is standard in that field. That's right. Because a lot of people forget about, at the end of the day, it's about the art of business.
That's right.
It's the art of how you play the sport or how you operate, your local shop. It's not necessary, I have the building, I have the tools. Because like you said earlier, anybody have the material things of life. But how you use those materials really defines the core of who you are as an entrepreneur. And understanding that the tools that are there for your benefit, they're not for somebody else. That we can all use the same things. They don't have to cost a fortune to use. Will all make your life easier. That's what. If technology is making it harder, that's the wrong piece of technology you have. And a lot of people are afraid of it too, that, it's just too hard. I said, well, you have to try it first. Give it a couple of weeks. 21 days is what the amount of time it takes to develop a new habit. So if it doesn't work in 3 weeks, or if it's not getting better, then you might want to scrap it. But give it a chance. You can't just decide you don't want to or it's too hard. I think people they talk themselves out of their blessings. Completely. And before you wrap this, just one more thing I think we can hit real quick. A lot of people now they get all this great information, but
I don't use it.
We all know the downfall of not taking action.
That's right.
That's a very bad habit for a lot of entrepreneurs. I'm gonna be real and say I used to be that guy, but
how did you change, right?
Start this podcast, interview the best minds in the world. Yeah. But how can a person today, whenever they listen to this podcast, what's the first step they can start doing just to take action? Because it doesn't need to be this massive thing.
Define your why. Yeah. Define your mission. Then you can start adding to that. But if you don't know why you're doing what you're doing, you always just wander around. That's the big thing. Why are you doing what you're doing? Is what you're doing working? If you already know your why, because some people on this podcast are going to say, that's right, you like it. Yeah. It doesn't like you. Like I said with math, it didn't like me. I tried. So, no. Again, if it's the wrong industry you're in, and because a lot of people are doing stuff just for the money and they're miserable. Mm-hmm. You need to do it for your purpose, because that's, somebody can fire you from a job, but they can't fire you from your gift.
Ooh,
that's right.
Dang. She got bars. Man.
Yeah.
Say that one more time.
I said they can fire you from your job, but they cannot fire you from your gift. So if you chase the vision and don't chase the money or chase your purpose, everything. The money is a byproduct. Happiness is a byproduct of doing what you were designed by life, by God, your maker, to do. And if you don't know that, that's to me the very first thing, because a lot of people are making a lot of money. They come home and they're just like, is this my life? Is this all it's about? And that's not how we're supposed to live, unfulfilled or frustrated. If you're frustrated, sit down and figure out, am I doing what I'm supposed to do? And I know a lot of people thought I was crazy leaving, a corporate job. I was assistant vice president. I was 26 or 27. I was very, very driven very early, and I didn't care. I just jumped. I was like, I'm going to go do this. And so I've never regretted it. And I think for myself personally, and I don't want to die with any regrets. I just don't. I want to be able to say I did what I came to do, And hey, if it didn't work, it didn't. But at least I know it didn't. I won't be laying there wondering, I wonder if I should have done that. I'm not that person. I've never been that person. So I would say take the risk. Sit down and write out your why. What is your mission? What is your life mission? Because see, a lot of us have career missions, but we don't know what our life is about. And you don't want to get to 65 and be like, I worked all these years to get a check, and I feel like I've wasted the best days. Because your health and your strength, that kind of stuff might have changed, but to know that piece of it and to really pursue your purpose, I think is a bigger thing that will help your business. Because hopefully your business is tied to that. Everything that plugs into you should have something to do with, this is why I'm alive. This is what I've been put here for. So let me try to make sure that all of my energy is going into that. So you do feel satisfied. You don't feel like you got used or misused. I don't mind if you use me, just don't misuse me.
Speaking of like a metaphor, it's like a tree. You don't just see random branches.
True.
It has to be part of that tree. So if your dream, your core of who you are, it has to be like that tree. It needs to grow strong, have deep roots.
Yes.
So where you're rooted makes a difference too.
Big difference. That's right.
But even if it's, a bad, hand that you dealt, it's still opportunity to use what you got. Because a lot of times too, it's part of gratitude. Because if you overlook the small things that are actually a good thing in your life, that you can be thankful for, you will always overlook those things, and you will never find anything to be thankful for along the way.
That's right.
Because it's during those hard times where you hit rock bottom, but if you learn to be thankful for something, you can start, okay, I got family, or I got my health, or
that you have your right mind. Because there's some people that wake up and they're either losing it, they don't have their memory, they can't see, they can't hear, they can't taste.
It's
just the fact that you can taste or smell is big for somebody. Go ask somebody who can't. Or somebody who had the use of their legs and can no longer walk, or a limb that's just anything that, just to wake up without being hooked up to machines or having to take, 35 trillion, pills, that means a lot. That's a lot of pills, right? That's a lot. That's a lot of pills.
That's a lot, man.
But some people have to wake up with medicine and go to. It's a lot, and just to have your, like I said, to be in your right mind, to be able to comprehend that you're not just
a zombie.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of times in the business world.
Oh yeah, you feel like that. Sometimes I used to tell people, I don't know if I'm coming or going. What day am I in?
But both ways, business and personal life. It's bad when your personal life and your business feels like a zombie. That's when you might want to get a coach.
Yeah, you might kind of want to go take a vacation somewhere, and then too, you have to recharge your batteries.
Yeah, get in a quiet room and cry a little bit.
There you go. And crying is good. Men and women, let it out. Yeah, you do need to have a release though. There's pressure and there's release, right? It's kind of a rhythm or a cycle. You have to go through that, but let it happen. Don't let it come crashing down. But I think, like in anything, you have to fuel yourself, but you need rest. Sometimes you need to get away from your business. That's also another thing, that those that are stuck in a rut, go on a mini 3-day vacation. Have even fun. Just unplug and go to the beach, go somewhere where you can hear the water, or go enjoy yourself. Laughter is great. Go to the comedy club, unless you sit up front. It might not be too fun if you do that. So you might want to, or put it on Netflix and watch something. But you need to laugh and you need to live, because some of us are so focused on what
you can be too focused.
Right? Exactly. And I think that's the other place where people get lost, because they're so intense.
You get extreme, and that's when it becomes unnatural.
Right.
And when it's unnatural,
it's weird.
Nobody's having fun.
No.
No. People get uncomfortable around you. It's just like, loosen up.
Loosen up. Exactly.
Loosen up.
Exactly.
And that kind of ties back to what we were talking about earlier about building relationships.
Yes.
Lastly, real quick, how has faith been influence in your entrepreneurship journey?
Well, there's been many times that I just felt really low, or very overwhelmed, or discouraged even, because not everybody is going to be your cheerleader. Not everybody's going to like you. Not everybody's going to especially as a manager, you'll find that when it's time to terminate someone, because I always say people fire themselves. I don't fire you. If you don't follow the rules, this is what's going to happen. It's not me doing it to you. It's the fact that you didn't do what you're supposed to do. But that's very uncomfortable. And then you become unpopular, or people look at you and think, well, you're mean, and you're, so then you start carrying, it's like, maybe I'm mean, maybe. But I think just having, being grounded and knowing, first of all, knowing whose I am, like who I belong to means something. And then knowing who I am. And I think, again, the two most important questions that somebody can, once you get the answers to these two questions, your life will change. First of all, do you see yourself as a son or slave? How do you see yourself? Because how you answer that is going to determine the next answer. Do you see God as your father or as your master? Because if you can settle that and know that you are loved completely, unconditionally. Now, of course, as humans, we have a hard time because we're in a world that conditioned us to act right. If you don't do this, you're going to get spanked, or I'm going to punish you, and all these things that mean that we're excluded from something. But if you can realize how valuable you are to God, and how you are his idea, that he thought of you, and I tell people I can prove that there's no one like you. Just look at your hands. There's nobody else with your fingerprint. Yeah. That is how meticulous he was in deciding who you would be. That's deep. And to know that he loves you and he's invested in you, he died for you and for me. To think that somebody did it, not just thought about it or talked about it, but did it, knowing what it was going to do. So to walk in that has really said, you know what, some of the stuff is just not worth me getting all sideways and getting upset or carrying things. A lot of people carry these burdens for decades, and they're so weighted down that even their little shoulders, they can't stand up straight because they're just weighed down by everybody else's stuff. But once you value yourself, first of all, you have to know that you're valuable in order to value yourself.
And to value people.
That's right. And then that bleeds right into your staff will know, your employees, people around you they'll feel safe with you. They can trust that you're not there just to use them up or to, slave, just work them to the bone.
They end up building walls because they don't trust.
They don't trust.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of people don't trust themselves.
And that's why people can't trust. Yeah.
Exactly.
It's all a reflection,
Completely.
Like business is art, and, we're a reflection of what we represent.
But your faith is part of that why. Why am I doing what I'm doing? Or, who am I? Or that kind of thing. If you don't have the faith, I think if I didn't have my relationship with the Lord, I don't even know. I don't think I'd be here. I really don't. I don't think I could have made it. I really do not think because there's a lot of people. The higher up you go to, the smaller your inner circle becomes. Mm-hmm. You cannot bring everybody with you. Everybody was not designed to go with you. There are some people that are in your life for a season or a reason. Some people are going to be there forever, but typically the forever is very few and far between. And I don't believe people have learned that yet about letting people go, or the gift of goodbye. Bye.
There's eagles, and then there's.
That's right.
Yeah.
And some people are just and it hurts. I'm not saying that. But like you're talking about the trees. If you don't prune a tree, you're gonna have a big tangled mess, and the tree cannot grow without you cutting those branches off, and that way it can really flourish. Yeah. But sometimes you gotta prune. You gotta just cut, and it's not fun. But again, if you know the why you're cutting, it's not because I'm jealous or I'm threatened. That's not it. But look at rocket boosters, for instance. When you're about to launch those things into orbit, there's these thrusts, right? They go, but they fall off
because they can't go there.
They can't go.
Yeah.
Some things they're going to thrust you up, and then they fall off. Yeah. But we have to let them fall. We can't be trying to hold on or take people with us.
Dead
I'm
weight.
Sorry that's not right. It is dead weight, and it wasn't for them to go with you anyway. Sometimes people are just there to help you launch, and then they got to get out the way. That doesn't mean it's bad. Don't get your feelings hurt. And sometimes we just get too emotional. It's not logical.
That's another podcast, man.
Yes, it is. For another day, we'll have to come back and talk about that. Emotions. Emotions are meant to enhance your life, like a flavor, right? Like putting sugar, spice, salt, whatever in your food is to enhance it. It's not to overtake it. Right.
Oh, yeah.
Or to kill it, but some people don't get that. And so their emotions will take over their life. You need to control them. You really, that's, like you said, that's another session we'll have to talk about. People get way too into their feelings, and feelings are great, but they should not, they're there just to give some flavor. They're not there to manage you.
Just
or
like
to
the
take
cars
over.
we buy.
That's
Different
right.
styles.
That's right.
But at the end of the day, there's maintenance.
That's right.
You can't just drive and...
But it's only there to take you from A to B, right? It's not there to just where you're going to live in it and eat in it. Well, I guess some people do, but the majority of people don't live in their car, or that's not what they purchased to do it with.
Exactly.
And we need to understand what our emotions are.
That's real.
We have to learn that. But that's a big thing, and that's another thing about maturity and growth, and being able to have your Starbucks and able to have your Amazon, is to understand where you are, what level you're playing in, and also to know what you are in. You talk about faith, but going back to Genesis 1, we are supposed to have dominion over things. Why do they have dominion over us? Mm-hmm. Our emotions should not have dominion over us. You need to take your authority. That's another book, but I'm just saying that we have to take what we've been given. Mm-hmm. Sometimes we expect God to do it for us.
Yeah.
He's gonna no. He's telling you. Yeah. Are you waiting on him? Is he waiting? Mm-hmm. He's giving you the blueprint, but if you don't work it, and work it in a balanced way, not weird and getting all whatever. I'm just saying that there are certain things that we are supposed to control. He's given us the permission to do it, and we're waiting on him. And he's like, I already gave that to you. I gave you the keys to the kingdom.
Yeah, I
gave them to you.
It's like a coach putting the player on the field or on the court. Yeah. They're not just doing it because they feel like it. They did it because they trained you, they coached you, they prepped you, and when it's game time,
you're ready.
Either you're gonna go and execute or you're gonna fold. And if you fold, well, you only got so many minutes in the game.
Or like my students, right? They get to the test and like, well, I want the answers. No, you should have studied. I've given you what you needed to prepare you for the assessment. And if you don't assess well, at least with God, though, God will say, if you fail, I'll just let you keep repeating it. You never really fail in God. You just keep going back around that mountain. And some of us have been in that mountain for like 40-some years. Come on, y'all. We need to let it go. But until somebody can encourage us through that, or to show us where we have, we're broken. So a lot of people are broken. They never got healed.
Yeah.
And you can't play on a broken ankle.
Man,
you'll be very limited.
That's another podcast.
I didn't come to preach though, because y'all have me up in here preaching in a minute. I need to.
Because brokenness,
come on, it's real.
It can be good or it can be bad. It can be good to where it motivates you to do what you gotta do to get better, or it can be bad to where it's just like you're the zombie.
Right.
You're just walking zombie, and it's like.
Because the trauma has now numbed you. Like I said, emotions you want to feel. I want to feel that I got a broken leg, because if not, if I keep walking on
it's almost like someone putting this mini TV over your head, in front of your eyes, and you're playing this bad reel of highlights to the point where you can't even see reality. And it's like you keep seeing this bad highlight, and you keep missing these opportunities on the left and the right because you got this
broken
TV.
Broken focus.
And then sometimes, like I said earlier in the podcast, you can be focused, but on the wrong thing.
That's deep.
Because back to that hamster wheel metaphor. You're grinding, you're working, you sweating. I mean, you sweating crazy. You in shape too. But like you said, where are you?
Or why are you trying to go up? A lot of people are trying to climb the ladder, right? They get to the top and they realize the ladder was on the wrong building.
Oh, that's good. That's so good. We got to end the show because this is another 2 hours right here.
That was good. Have me back. I'll come back once a month and we can do some little. Man,
I have to do a teaser right there because that's another session. My mind just went somewhere else. But seriously though, people will get in contact with you and collab with you, have you come out and travel. How can they get in touch with you?
You can find me on my website at melissaweathersby.com. I have a toll-free number you can call, also 877-527-5995. You can email me at the website or call me, and we can certainly, I do a lot of just different conferences, different talks. I coach, all of that. And I'll be doing a lot of financial literacy stuff coming up very soon with helping people get their money on track, or really just having the right mindset also about money. If your money doesn't have a mission, then we gotta get that right. But you need to have a wealth plan. You need a plan.
If it's just McDonald's, you're in trouble.
Well, you're never gonna get to the 2 Comma Club unless you're gonna own a lot of McDonald's.
Exactly.
McDonald's is not just the burger business, really a real estate business. But I won't go there either. But people have to really. I think money does answer all things. That's what the word says, and it depends on what question you're asking it. I'll leave that. I'll leave that.
Dang, that's good right there.
Can you give your number one more time?
Yeah.
Yes, 877.
That's area code.
Yes, a toll free. 527-5995. And here in San Antonio, if you want to call me, it's 210-504-4644. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yes.
Well, it was a great experience on the show. I'm sure a lot of people learned a lot, and we're going to have to bring you back because there's some other topics I think are very helpful for not just entrepreneurs, but just people in general.
I would love to do that. I really do.
If you want to work up the corporate ladder, there's nothing wrong with that either, So
no, and I mean, it's like I said, to everything there's a season and a time. There's a reason you're here, and there's a reason why you need to be where you are for the time that you're there.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with corporate. There's nothing wrong with government.
Exactly.
We need people that can make the right laws and do the right things for the right races. So we all can't do this. We all can't be entrepreneurs.
That's true.
And you shouldn't judge yourself if this is not your forte. Don't feel like, well, I'm bad because I can't do what. No, we're not supposed to do what everybody does.
Everybody's supposed to be Steph Curry now. I'm just saying.
Or Michael Jordan.
As much as I try to shoot the basketball in the backyard, that's not me. I'm staying my lane. I'll never wear a Warriors jersey unless I go Foot Locker. So, on that note,
right? Or maybe a Spurs jersey. I see a Spurs hat.
Oh yeah, Spurs all day, 210.
There you go.
So, before we close this broadcast, we want to say, like we say every single week, keep God first, stay focused, and peace.